Many people view education as the panacea for all kinds of societal problems, particularly in desperate times like now. It is understandable that we all want to find a savior. But unfortunately, the record for knowledge, particularly the kind associated with formal institutions, does not lend confidence. When we look at past societies, it turns out that education's biggest role is to supplement power. In other words, for most of the time in history, learning was structured in precise ways to accommodate or assist the existing political economic regime. Let me give you the example of ancient China. There, you will find a tradition of education being highly valued and an imperial examination system that used achievement as the basis for recruiting officials for the state. For lovers of meritocracy, this was a dream coming true because the selection process discarded family background, parental status, or wealth and allowed only those with the best academic performance to rise to the top. Within the system, which prevailed in pre-modern China for over 1,000 years, one could find plenty of people who studied very hard, cultivated virtue, and followed a strict code of ethics. At the same time, they accomplished amazing feats in poetry, history, philosophy, and so on. But there was a giant elephant in the room. This group of learned mandarins all accepted that a strict hierarchy featuring an absolute ruler atop was needed, and this imperial order rendered everyone, including themselves, as servile subjects with no guarantee of basic rights and protection. Now let's turn to the Middle Ages. Although sometimes considered very dark, learning did take place, only that it was confined to a small group of religious personnel. Among those, you could find diligent scribes, gifted monks, and learned scholars who edited books and wrote amazing commentaries and treatises. Yet those who were privileged to study never confronted a glaring fallacy right in front of their nose. That although Christendom featured a God who created every single human being in his image with unconditional love, those very lives were being sorted into different stations of birth, with the result that those at the bottom, such as the peasants and the serfs, led an existence that was befitting of neither God's image nor his love. So we can see, whether in imperial China or medieval Europe, education molded the most talented and fortunate people. One had the potential to do a lot more into safe and secure roles in the power structure. It did so in part by imparting knowledge that justified the ruling class through various narratives of necessity and glorification, and in part by occupying them with meticulous and specialized pursuits that shifted attention away from gross social injustices that were screaming to be addressed. But if you ever approach a Chinese mandarin or a medieval monk, none of them will tell you that their educational training was complicit, problematic, and falling short of its potential. Quite the opposite. They will tell you how important what they do is and how it yields crucial understanding that makes the world better. Now fast forward to our society. What does education really serve these days? Although no educator will tell you, but it has to be the capitalist, technocratic regime. It is true that we still read Shakespeare and learn the Constitution, but it is not a secret that the real point of going to school is to get a job and achieve a certain level of desired financial success. In addition, most academic pursuits either facilitate commercial interests or provide jobs to children from middle-class families who can afford to study for a long time and thus become very good in a special field they enjoy. Last but most importantly, they keep people occupied with predefined careers that do not threaten the existing power structure. It's perhaps no wonder that when the best have turned the other way, the most pressing problems that require radical and wide-scale social transformation are not getting solved. These days, we only hear two kinds of voices. Those on the right want to turn schools into businesses and treat education as a process for training useful workers in the labor market. Those on the left are always calling for more investment in education research. However, the model they favor often results in highly specialized learning that is carried out by a small group of experts who see knowledge as a purely personal endeavor, detached from larger communities and real-life occurrences. What is lost in between are some very difficult questions. What sort of contemplations are we omitting, and what sort of wider connections are we ignoring simply because they're currently defined to be outside of a discipline or a technical realm? Do we understand the full implications and consequences of our findings and discoveries for people and society? How does this intellectual process define who we are and our relationship to power? There needs to be a clear hierarchy of relevance because not all knowledge is the same. The highest form of knowledge is the kind that strives to widen dignity and flourishing. It eliminates cruelty and oppression in ways that matter to real lives. This pursuit demands an incorporation of proficiencies, skills, and capabilities on the one hand, and wisdom, empathy, courage, and a sense of greater purpose on the other. Unfortunately, in today's institutions of higher learning, resources and recognition are being used to promote the mastery of technical expertise removed from broader societal needs and political deliberation. Overall, education, like anything else, will not be an automatic savior, and it could very well hold us back without critical examination. Only when knowledge becomes organic, interconnected, multidimensional, and meaningful can we truly be served by learning.